Good morning, readers. Over the past couple of days, we've been working hard on making movies in our mind or envisioning what's happening in the stories we are reading. So today we're going to take that one step further, and I want to teach you that if you pay attention to the details about a character and put together a sense of that character and who they are, pretty soon you'll find that you know the character so well that you'll be able to predict what they might do next. So we're going to read a new story today, a picture book to work on making predictions while we read, and really focusing on the mental movie we're making and what that mental movie might be for things that have not happened yet. So we're going to work on making predictions as we read a book called Rosie Revere, Engineer. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed, where they'd never be seen. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye, and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser, and helium pants. This makes me think that something must have happened. Rosie didn't used to be shy, and she used to share all her inventions, and now it says that she's very shy and she kind of hides her inventions away and works on them late at night. I'm just going to jot that down quick. So I jotted here, I think something must have happened to make Rosie become shy, because in the text it said she didn't used to be shy, and she used to share all of her inventions instead of hide them. Let's continue reading and get ready to do some of our work on making predictions. The uncle she loved most was Zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head, from parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. Based on all that you know about Rosie already, I want you to stop right now and turn and talk with your partner to make a prediction of what you think might happen. So really envision in your mind and make that movie in your mind of what you think might happen next. Go ahead now. Let's read on to see if our predictions were correct. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud. But Fred slapped his knee and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. I love it, Fred hooted. Oh, I truly do. But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day kept her dreams to herself. And that's how it went until one autumn day her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo, who'd worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of the things she had done, and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams. We know a lot about Rosie as a character, so let's once again stop and make a prediction. Not only do I want you to predict what is going to happen next, but I really want you to make that movie in your mind and picture how it will happen. So what is Rosie going to do? This time, let's stop and jot our prediction. Go ahead and do so now. Now you can turn and share your prediction with your partner. As you do this, look at whether you had the same prediction and whether your movie that you created about how it happened was the same or whether it was different. Go ahead and turn and talk now. We've been doing a wonderful job making predictions based on what we know from the text. Let's keep reading. That night, as Rosie lay wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone, then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn, to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flap it might turn out to be. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The hello cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never, not ever again, will I try to build something to sputter or spin, or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer." This seems like another good spot to make a prediction. Let's once again turn and talk with our reading partner and think of what we think will happen next. Make sure to use what you know from the text already when deciding to make your prediction. She turned round to leave, but then Great-Great-Aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close, and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. "You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try! This great flop is over. It's time for the next." Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. "I failed," said dear Rosie. "It's just made of trash." "Don't you see it? The cheese copter crashed." "Yes," said her great aunt, "it crashed, that is true. But first it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew." Thumbs up if that was how you thought that movie would play out in your mind, that you got your prediction correct. We know sometimes that as we make predictions, our predictions turn out to be true, but other times we know that our predictions may not have been correct and we need to revise our thinking a little bit. Let's go on and finish the book and see how the rest of it ends up. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear, to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 build gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. So readers, remember that you can make a movie in your mind of what is yet to happen in the story. Think of not only what will happen, but how it will happen, and use what you already know about characters to help you make a prediction. Before you go off and read for the day, make sure to set your reading learning intention. You can either use your sheet or use one of our recent learning targets. Make it a great day.